Okay, so remember when I said we were going to go to South Africa to have Cinsault? Well, I accidentally lied to you. I didn't mean to. It was definitely like I did, you know, schedules, time. I have been off on the seasons for a really long time now. Anyway, the point is it's Pride Month. So instead of talking about Cinsault, which we'll have to wait actually like 4 weeks based on the current schedule, we are going to talk about Pride and LGBTQIA plus in wine. We were also going to be at the pool, but it is like 20-mile-per-hour winds outside and cold. Well, okay, it's 73, which is pool cold. It's not cold, cold. Anyway, every time LGBTQI plus wine time. Yay! Oops, that's not how you go forward. Okay. I don't know if this is actually what we are talking about, but I put together this table of contents before whatever. The point is we're definitely talking about history and stuff. Yeah, those seem milestones, important beats, inclusivity is important, tourism and events. I think I cover all of those. And then today and the future. So, oops, there's an extra space in there. How rude. My copy editor, whew, firing her. Barriers that still remain, opportunities for better DEI, how we as consumers can support, and then a few winemakers to check out, which will delightfully lead into the wine that I have today. History and stuff. To take wine into our mouths is to savor a droplet of the river of human history. Clifton Fadiman. So I looked this guy up. He was largely a copy editor, I think, but he did write a book about wine that I'm completely blanking on, and I probably have written down somewhere. Whatever. Cool dude. Okay, so when you think about the history of this, the reason I wrote, honestly, literally, what the hell, is because it's not like there haven't always been gay people in wine. Wine's been around forever, and I hate to break this to all of the people who are currently like unfollowing me because they're like super conservative and homophobic and stuff, but like there also probably have been gay people in wine for pretty much the entirety of the winemaking. But publicly, I pulled a lot from this site that was largely about the marketing of wine and sort of like the gay audience. So Clos du Bois marketing and donations from the mid to late 90s. John Kalmeyer, who I think was the head of Clos du Bois at the time, or maybe he was the head of marketing, made sure they made donations to the Names Project Foundation, which was under the umbrella of a bigger, I think, AIDS and HIV and gay organization. And then from 1997 to 2001, they spent about $800,000 on marketing campaigns that involved the Names Project. The AIDS quilt featured in these advertising campaigns, men embracing rainbows, all that kind of stuff that, like, honestly, in the mid to late 90s was controversial. Then Domaine Chandon got in on it in 2001. They had a fairly overt advertisement, which was really sweet. It's these two men embracing and they're holding a puppy and it's so cute. And it says, "When you know your future is with him." So sweet. And then they had a slightly less overt that just said, "We should do this more often." And it's two guys like staring into each other's eyes and some text. And I mean, it's less overt, but how do you miss the point? And then in 2006, they launched a Be Fabulous campaign that featured mostly, like same-sex couples. An Australian brand, Rosemount Estate, in 2001 became the exclusive wine sponsor of DC's Pride events and then expanded to San Francisco the following year in 2002. And I mean, San Francisco is, well, I don't know, how do I politically correctly say this? There's a lot of gay people in San Francisco and they're very open to the idea. I'm gonna get like fired. What am I gonna fire me? Anyway, then in 2004, Crawford Wines, which is Kim Crawford, if you often see this label, and Kim Crawford is a guy. His wife is Erica, I believe. So clearing up any name confusion there, Crawford Wines launched Pansy, which was a rosé directed like very distinctly at the gay community. But it was like $24. It is no longer on the market. But the launch parties were all these like very opulent affairs held primarily at gay bars. Now we get to, I'm saying the first openly gay winemaker who kind of like accidentally became a figurehead for this. So Mark Lyon, who was already out in the 1970s, I think he went to UC Davis, and he was like helping at HIV support agencies and all this stuff. But in 2005, he did a San Francisco Chronicle article interview and kind of publicly came out at that point. And then I skip forward a lot, which is why you really need to go to this website because there are so many other marketing campaigns. But I mean, obviously the slide is only this big. So the first Oregon wine country Pride Parade in 2020. So like that's not that long ago. Remy Drabkin of Remy Wines was the lead organizer of the event, and there were a lot of hate messages that came her way for it. But the tradition continues today, so we're on a good track. Okay, inclusivity is important. So I have some very grave quotes from the wine industry that I'm going to read kind of verbatim. So when Alvaro Cardenas first started selling wine in 1996, it was common for him to be greeted by professionals who made inappropriate jokes about HIV and AIDS or comment, "Here comes this little trying to sell me wine." Like, so bad. So he goes on in that same interview to say like things are getting better. He owns his own shop now. It's very LGBTQ friendly. Like, no, that's just not, that's not okay. And then Rachel Adams, the founder of the Assemblage Symposium, says I was often confronted with this strange moment of being unsure if it was safe to out myself because she worked on a commission. So like, is she going to lose her living because of being who she is? And then finally, Vivian Kennedy of Ram Cellars says, I came out in 2018 and there were a lot of difficult things about coming out and moving to that liminal space. So we're still working on inclusivity in the wine industry. Oh, I can, the smell of the wine is wafting to me because of these winds. Oh, I'm excited. Okay. Celebrations though. So this is a definitely incomplete list of festivals and events because I started to get overwhelmed, and I'm going to try alt tabbing while I'm on here, and I'm hoping you'll still only see the PowerPoint. So we'll find out in post. So the Loudoun County Pride in the Vines, that's held in Virginia, and they have this little passport where like you get stamps at each of these wineries and then you're entered into a drawing or something. It's a cute idea. Queer Wine Festival in McMinnville, which I believe is also hosted by Remy Drabkin, but it is like subtitled as the gayest wine event in the country. I definitely want to check that out. Pride in the Vines. This year's one is over. I believe this one takes place in Connecticut, so look out for it in 2025 if you're in the Northeast of the United States. And then out in the vineyard is this cool thing that showed up in a couple articles I read about, and they say they are an experiential wine country event and travel company for the LGBTQ plus community, offering exclusive luxury itineraries and events. It sounds great. I'm hoping it's not just like, no, I don't think it is just like a marketing campaign. Like there has been some pink washing, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but this sounded pretty cool. Now we're going to alt tab and see if we stay on the slideshow for you. So I went to Google and I searched Pride Events 2024 wine, and I came up with 2024 Boston Pride Rosé Wine Dinner at the Liberty, Pride Month wine tasting on the Boston calendar, a bunch of the big list of 2024 Pride events in Boston. Okay, clearly knows I'm in Boston. There's a hot list here. Then I did it on Bing, and I got Napa Pride 2024 events, Gay Wine Weekend 2024 in Sonoma County, all events, Wine Country Pride, Rainbow Quest 2024, 2024 Queer Wine Fest, Napa Pride, Snohomish Pride. Wait, what? That sounds hilarious. So a bunch of ones there, and then I went to DuckDuckGo, which gave me pretty similar results. So Napa Pride, Gay Wine Weekend, another Napa Pride, Bangkok Pride. Wow, okay, cool. Admittedly, I don't have a ton of events for outside the United States, and I think that's because even when I go to like DuckDuckGo or not Google, which is obviously stalking me all the time, I mean, my VPN or my IP address, it's all in the United States. So it's not going to give me a whole lot of overseas stuff. I will try to find some resources before I post this so I can put them in the video caption. Okay, overcoming challenges. So this is kind of where I was going to talk. I didn't list the pink washing, but there is a lot of what feels sometimes to the community like fake support. So just throwing a rainbow on your wine label or throwing a rainbow on your beer or whatever, if you don't do anything to back that up, it feels very hollow, very artificial. Like you're just doing it so you make money, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of what that washing idea is. But some bigger challenges, even besides like the fake support, is recognizing the burden this has on the winemakers. My friend Molly and I have talked about this a lot. Like, if you're the only Black person at a company, then are you supposed to do all the training for dealing with people of color? Like it doesn't feel fair, like you're just automatically in that role. So we do, I think sometimes the industry puts a lot of pressure on these minority and LGBTQ plus wine makers because they expect them to kind of like support an industry. And that's a lot for a small winery. It's a lot to produce wine. I'm growing vines outside. It's hard. Transparent support from management and higher ups. So if you're just a salesperson or you're working in tasting room or whatever, and someone says something offensive, it will be nice if you can say, hey, that's not okay, knowing that you have the support of the management. So management needs to support its employees. Mentorship and allyship. So mentorship from others in the community who are in the industry, and then allyship from the allies in the industry. Both are very important. Involvement with campaigns and funds. So I'll talk about that a little bit more when I talk about the wine we're drinking. And that'll be, I think that'll be an easier example than anything I try to come up with off the top of my head. And then, of course, education, both internal and external. So like I said, internal education about like what it means within the company, and then external education, just educating wine consumers, educating wine buyers, educating the general public, etc. And then I put what else, because I mean, what else would you think of? If you have any ideas, put it in the comments. And the other thing I would say is, as consumers, you can just buy these wines. It will help. That's why I have the one that I could find. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So I searched high and low for one of the ones that I feature in just maybe the next slide, maybe a few slides from now. And it took me a really long time to find this. It's not, I don't even think it's technically LGBTQ owned. I couldn't find any of the other ones. They weren't here. And I live in a pretty blue place. So the more they are purchased, the more they will show up on the shelves, the better these will do. I'm not saying by the wine if it's bad. I'm just saying if it's good wine anyway, and you can support an LGBTQ winery, why not? Okay, so I was right. Hey, some winemakers to check out. So this is definitely not a comprehensive list. I can only include so much because I can only focus so long, you can only focus so long, and we still have to taste this wine. So this is only 6. So but Deja Vu seemed familiar because Camins to Dreams was featured in the link that I included with the Old versus New World plus Native American wines, because one of the women in this couple is Native American. And then Zappa Wines was featured in the Black Woman in Wine video because Krista Scruggs is obviously a Black woman winemaker. Then we get to Remy Wines. The founder, Remy Drabkin, organized the first Oregon Wine Country Pride Parade, which I mentioned a few slides ago. So that's why I kind of umbrellaed these under seem familiar. I'm not going to touch too much on them because we've already discussed them, but I do include the links in the video comment and at the end with my resources. Then we get to, so this is the same Mark Lyon I was talking about, but I didn't mention Eco Tirano, which was his, wow, that's where he makes his wine. I just forgot words. He witnessed a bird foraging for food and decided there should be a more eco-sustainable, balanced ecosystem way of making wines, which is how he founded his winery, Eco Tirano, which I just think is, I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, but I just thought that was so cool. Gentleman Farmer Wines was founded and run by husbands Joe, I'm assuming it's Wolutz, and Jeff Durham. So oh, that's why I have Let's Hear It for the Boys, because I have the 2 male people here, but and the girls and the theys and the non-binary, the everyone. It was just a bad joke. Then now we are talking about Gary Farrell Wineries, Teresa Heredia, who advocates for both women and LGBTQ plus acceptance in the industry, which is exciting because we are drinking a Gary Farrell wine, and I will read a little bit more about her when we get to the wine. But I want to say, here's my 8 million resources. I will include all of these links in the video description, as I always do. Some of them are just the winery, some of them are some really good articles you can check out. And then obviously, the Marketing the Rainbow is the one where I have all those marketing campaigns. And that's such a fascinating read if you want to go check that out. And then, okay, that was a lot and yet not enough. At some point, oh gosh, I actually just watched this Instagram reel by J.M. Hirsch, who I think is the editor of like Milk Magazine or something. I don't remember exactly, but I follow him on Instagram. And his whole thing was like, we shouldn't have to make like, he was like, I'm going to make a rainbow drink or a unicorn tears drink or something. And then he said, but honestly, the whole point of a pride drink should be that just drink what you want, love who you want, live how you want. So it's really not until we don't have to talk about this acceptance that we'll be done talking about this acceptance. I had a better sentence in my head and then it just stopped. So let's drink some wine. I'm going to stop the share. All right, that was, oh, my brain is everywhere. Okay, so we're going to pour this wine. And let's look at this. So it took me forever to find this Pinot. And then I found out they have a Chardonnay. And I kind of regretted my choices because as much as I don't love Chardonnay, the Chardonnay appears in Wine Spectator getting like 94s, which is really nice. I poured that kind of heavy. And I'm somewhat nervous about this because I've had Burgundy, which kind of ruined all other Pinot Noirs for me. But this one has been getting consistent, like 90 plus and 89 points. So it's obviously not going to be bad. Russian River is a great place in California if you're going to do a cooler climate grape like Pinot Noir is. It smells a little fruitier than I usually like them, but I mean, that's what happens. Where's I was going somewhere with that. Oh, it was also kind of pricey. It was $48.99. So this is definitely not like your entry level wine. I wouldn't say it's gatekeeping, but it had better be pretty good. No, I'm kidding. I must just spit that out everywhere. Okay. It's not a Burgundy. Why do I like this so much? I didn't actually want to like it, to be perfectly honest, because I usually don't like US wines. Oh, the acid on it. The acid on it is so nice, though. And it's not, the fruit is, I want to say candied, but not sweet. So that doesn't make any sense. Let me think about this for a moment while I get my life together. And I'll tell you a little bit about, I wanted to read you a couple things. Yes, okay, Teresa Heredia I guess she also has her own wine consulting. This quote made me laugh. There wasn't a lot of gay stuff at that time, she says. Most of the gay culture was in Garenville, and it was mostly men. In general, she says, there are fewer lesbian-specific venues, events, and gatherings. So already loving her. And then I think I included this in the resources, and if I didn't, I'll definitely include it in the video description. Winemaker Teresa Heredia credits the women who paved the way. And then this is a long article about how much female mentorship meant to her when she was getting into the wine industry. And then I know I linked to this one, the Maker Wines article about some LGBTQ winemakers. I just love this line. Teresa Heredia of Gary Farrell Winery left her chemistry PhD to work on what she really loved, making wine. And then this is where I wanted to talk about like campaigns and stuff, because she says, Teresa hasn't only been nominated for Winemaker of the Year, but she's also led a partnership with the Human Rights Campaign. Her work with HRC ensures that those fighting for equal rights can always count on a great glass of Pinot. So it sounds like she does, how do I get back to the video? It sounds like she does a lot of really great work for just a lot of acceptance, a lot of diversity, equity, inclusion, really great stuff. So that and the fact that this was the only one I could find, that's why we're drinking this today. It's almost got a mint to it, which is kind of weirding me out. You just say. Okay, focus, London. Pretend you're in your exam. Strawberry. Raspberry. I like peaches is meowing in between each one. I would say bramble, but not blackberry. Forest floor. Not a lot of forest floor, not like burgundy level forest floor. Mushroom. Clove. Maybe caraway. Some sort of something you would find on the spice rack, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, bro, I know. I'm really bad at this. Thanks. Ah. I don't know. It might be a cardamom because I'm not getting anise, but it's that vein. I really do get like a minty fennel-y quality also. Peaches, that's our sofa. I hope that the microphone picked that up. That was hilarious. Okay, you probably already turned this off. Um, this is really nice. I'm actually not sad that I paid $48.99 for it. I will enjoy this a great deal. I'm glad to be supporting Gary Farrell Winery. I will try to talk to maybe a local winery. Maybe I can get them to like bring some in so that I can try it, so I can review it. But yeah, just try to do a little research, see what you can find. Let me know. If you're really angry about this video, great. No, if you're really happy about this video, also great. Happy Pride. Cheers.